They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. My entire life, I searched into the windows, the eyes of others, in hopes I could find a twin of my soul. I found none until I looked at the truth in my own eyes. Healing your soul can be done in many ways. I tried a variety of forms: reading self help books, going to therapy, numbing my senses with alcohol, gambling, and cannabis. I stumbled on painting. Painting allowed me to release my thoughts and feelings in a way I could let it all go and close the door to past emotions, still navigating my choices. I took the reins off my mind and let it wander. How do I feel? What do I want to say? I had to push past the anger. I was angry at the people I thought cared but didn't. Then I was angry at me. I always knew others weren't truly invested in me. They were more interested in what I could do for them or how I made them feel. My anger was at how little I was invested in me and how I allowed the mistreatment. Dealing with emotional pain takes time to heal. It's not easy, so I didn't rush the process. I gave myself permission to feel what I felt. I flipped back and forth: anger, pain, guilt, even pissed off. My heart gently landed on gratitude. I was grateful I still had faith in something higher than my ego self, a light in the middle of the storm. I began to see the truth behind others' eyes because I understood that I was hiding my truth by not voicing my emotions. As I questioned actions, I discovered motives. By looking at outcomes, I could see clearly who benefited and who didn't. My anger subsided after realizing patterns repeating the same pain with different people, repeating the same situations in different places. The common denominator was me. Wisdom whispered at that moment, there's a duality we are all living with. Why couldn't I express in words what my soul yearned to say? What stifled my voice? What closed the door to the desires of my heart and ignored the song my soul wanted to sing? It was time to venture deep and take an honest look at what was hidden. I started at the beginning. We come as tiny light beams, equipped with all God is, as we are still consciously connected to the unseen. As we take on the corporeal form, we add the attributes of our earth bodies. The ancestral pain or trauma shows itself in many ways and becomes our map to return to our true selves. It may take many years, decades, or lifetimes. On these journeys, we must always look into our own soul and look for the crumbs or the clues that are placed before us. The moment we take our eyes off the light within, we are able we're taking the risk of creating a more difficult journey. We're sponges soaking up every ounce of the environment we're in. I can recall my first impression, my first thought as I embodied my earth form. My heart called back to the light I came from. Wait, I jumped in the wrong body. As a child, I believed in the fairy tale. Cinderella, happily ever after, Leave It to Beaver, Father Knows Best, and the Waltons. What I received was far from the TV imagination. I pocketed my emotions, suffocated my words, followed the rules, stifled my emotional growth. I tried to fit in. My imagination was too big. I tried to be good. Goodness wasn't cherished. I couldn't change the reality in which I lived. I swallowed the pain and let it sit undigested in my soul, ready to regurgitate at any given time. What I saw, what I felt, wasn't televised. To heal the wounds, I traveled back to the moments in time. I had to accept what was real. I looked behind the curtain of excuse me, what I wanted. And instead, I saw the broken, the dysfunction, the helplessness of a child. I had to ignore the fantasy and acknowledge the truth. The truth wasn't easy to swallow. But I stayed in the moment so I could see it all. Finally put it to rest, digest it. I had to relive the past, focus on the moment. But this time, I felt the pain and released it and let it go before I moved on to the next moment. When you look to find the truth, more closed doors appear that beckon to be acknowledged. Things that are locked behind closed doors are there for a reason. Someone or something doesn't want them to be found or open to the light of day. Those are the things that are torturing the soul of the one that's seeking the truth, as well as the soul that is locked behind the door. Cobwebs and dust cover the truth and help maintain the illusion. It seems to be too much to clean, or we want to forget that it's there. I couldn't forget. I knew it was there. Not sure what it was, but just peeking inside, knowing there's something more I need to discover, compelled me to continue. As tears ran down my face, I finally understood why it is so hard to go back and heal. I mourned the part of me that experienced the mental, verbal, emotional, physical, and yes, sexual abuse. I mourned the part of me that endured it all but couldn't speak on it. I returned to each scene and opened my mouth to scream to release the part of me that was told I couldn't before. I said the words and spoke my side of the story that nobody asked for. The canvas gave that little girl a voice. She still had something to say. I stared into the faces of the perpetrators, the duality, the dark parts, the hardened hearts, the deceptive parts that were hidden. And I felt the heaviness of the darkness I had to carry for so many years. The fear, the grief, the shame, the excruciating pain of betrayal by those that were supposed to love and protect, all came flooding in. I had no idea it was still there, hidden behind a mask. I let it be and allowed myself to feel every moment, and again said what I needed to say. And with every stroke of the brush, the weight lifted. What we look at is not always what we see. What mirrors back to us in our mind is what we feel about ourselves and assume about others. We must accept our own darkness in order to heal it. The pain locked inside is reflected by those that are introduced into our lives. Friends, family, and social circles. As we see the truth of those in our arena, we get the opportunity to take a deeper look at ourselves. What's the belief we have about ourselves that we reject, accept, or blend in with those that have been placed in our lives? This is their purpose. Their purpose is to shake the cobwebs loose, to help you look deeper than the surface. It's also the opportunity for them to take accountability for their own thoughts and actions. That is your purpose in their life. There are no accidents. As I marinated, meditated, and swallowed the truths that were being presented to my mind, I accepted the role in my life, my role in my life. I reconciled how I could have handled some things differently, how I could have spoken up, and how I could have turned away from those that I knew were not for my highest good. I didn't because fear stopped me. I started seeing life from a different perspective. I took a look at the entire picture from a 360-degree field of view. When accepting my own darkness, I could see the darkness in others. I could see who they were in my life. and why they were in my life. I could see the lies, the deception, my fears, my light, their light or lack thereof. And I understood where my darkness stemmed from and how I allowed the lies to become my truth, to become limited by others' beliefs. How I put my heart's desires on pause to fit in, to be a part of, to be seen by others' view of who I should be instead of accepting who I am. My sight elevated. I could see things above the fray. I could see that we are all living in a fog, a dream that we unknowingly created by accepting lies, wallowing in our egos to feel important, consuming material things to appear separate from each other, when the truth is whatever we do, say, think, or act affects the whole, including ourselves. We are all part of what we see. Our silence, our selective blindness to who we are as individuals contribute to how we interact as a collective. I was able to see how our words poison the souls of others. The power, the intention behind the words seep into the receptive souls of others and alters their view, and the cycle repeats itself, with the altered view now being spoken to another. And the cycle repeats and repeats and repeats. At this point of my healing journey, the weight I carried fell from my shoulders. I saw myself clearly and determined to continue to check my inner workings, to not continue to alter or accept any view that are not for the highest good of all, making sure my intentions and words matched my heart. The more I validated myself and self managed my intentions and thoughts, my heart released not only those that intentionally or due to their own neglect of self accountability betrayed, hurt, or harmed me, but it also released me from being connected to anyone that desired to hold me accountable for their lack of self discovery. I was now able to see the beauty within and fall in love with who I am. My voice returned. It didn't matter how anyone else felt about who I am, as long as my intentions did not cause harm to any other. I laid all the past monsters that I lived from and reacted from to rest. They no longer caused a defense. They were out in the open. Dark gave way to the light. They could no longer be triggered. The truth of what caused them to exist no longer held me captive. But this healing journey taught me to remain wise and vigilant, because there are those that remain hidden, seeking who they may devour. They are those that can't see, won't see, and despise those that do. Those that are artificial with no access to their own soul. My heart opened as I felt free as a child, free to imagine the possibilities of peace beyond understanding. Though the journey was long, lonely, and delivered a death blow to the past, I emerged with my heart as light as a feather. I now know where the balance is. If anyone, anything, any circumstance causes the scale to tip, I have a path to go back and take a look and wait for the rebalancing of the scales. But I'm not so egoic to believe that I have taken this journey alone. There's a team that is always with us. My team was always with me. A team of support that will always come along for the next hurdle. They are my ancestors and angels that I have the greatest thanks to. Without the nudges and whispers, rejections, redirections, and confirmations, healing would not be possible. The whispers may be quiet. The rejections are sometimes misunderstood. The confirmations are not always clear, but they are always there. And at this moment, I trust the wisdom of what I've yet to uncover and discover to stay on this healing journey.